All right, let's talk a little bit of materials. So for this one, it wasn't too material heavy. I did use my cafe brown yarn. This is a red heart yarn that I had laying around. I'm gonna use some tan yarn that was on my yarn wall. I have some scrap black yarn that I'm gonna use as well for the nose. Let's see, we need a yarn needle. We need some scissors. We need, of course, our 3.5 hook because we really can't do anything without it. We will need a stitch marker, some polyfill, quite a bit of polyfill because we'll need to stuff our head with that. And finally, we will need some safety eyes. I used a size 10. Safety eyes, that's just what I identified as the kind of the best look, and I think that's it. So go ahead and grab your materials and meet me back so we can start getting into this crochet bear head keychain. Okay, let's go ahead and get started with our bear head. And for this one, what we're gonna do is start with a magic circle, and we're gonna do 6 single crochets inside of that magic circle. So there's our magic circle, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. We're gonna go ahead and close that off, tighten our magic circle. Row number 2 is going to be an increase, which is 2 single crochets all the way around. And we're going to do this all the way around so that you end up with 12 stitches. So go ahead and do that and meet me back here. Row number 3 is going to be 1 single crochet and then an increase. So it's 1 single crochet and then an increase. 1 single crochet and then an increase, and you're doing this all the way around. Row number 4 is going to be 2 single crochets and then an increase. So it's 1, 2, and then an increase. 1, 2, and then an increase, and we're doing that all the way around. Row number 5, 3 single crochets and then an increase. So 1, 2, 3, and then an increase. 1, 2, 3, and then an increase, which is 2 single crochets and 1 stitch all the way around. Row number 6 is going to be our last row of increases, and this is 4 single crochets and then an increase. So that's 2 for me, 3, 4, and then an increase. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and then an increase all the way around. Okay, rows 7 through 10 is going to be 1 single crochet in each stitch. So go ahead and do row 7 through 10. I'm gonna do mine off camera, and then I'll meet you back here to show you what mine looks like, and then we can follow along to this next process. Okay, so this is what I'm looking like after row number 10. Row number 11 is going to be our start of the decreases. So we're doing 4 single crochets and then a decrease. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and then a decrease. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then ahead and do that all the way around. Row number 12 is going to be 3 single crochets and then a decrease. 1, 2, 3, and then a decrease. 1, 2, 3, and then a decrease all the way around. Okay, so at this point, this is what we're looking at, and we want to go ahead and insert our plastic safety eyes before we get too far along. I'm gonna pull out mine. These are a size 10 for me. Just found these to be the right size that I was looking for. So we are gonna insert our eyes between rows 7 and 8. So magic circle counts as 1. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So we're putting our safety eye there. Our second one is going to be in stitch number 7. So we just insert it in what I like to call stitch number 1. And so we're going to go over to stitch number 7. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 for me is going to be right here. Insert our backs. And we are good to go to the next part. Alright, row number 13 is going to be 2 single crochets and then a decrease. So 1, 2, and then a decrease. 1, 2, and then a decrease all the way around. Row number 14 is going to be 1 single crochet and then a decrease. We're just closing this hole right on up to complete the head of our bear. So 1 single crochet and then a decrease all the way around. And our final row, row number 15, is going to be decreases all the way around. Now, if you've watched my videos in the past, you know that I like to wait to the very, very last minute to stuff. But if you find that difficult, like if you try my other patterns and you find that difficult, go ahead and stuff now and then do row number 15 after. I just don't like to, I don't like to stuff and then crochet because it hurts my fingers. I have really bad eczema, and when my fingers are like broken out, it hurts so bad to do that. So this is just something that I've developed, you know, as a practice for me. But if that doesn't work for you, this is a really good place in row number, before you start row number 15, excuse me. It's a really good place for you to stuff. All right, and I'm coming up on my last decrease here, and then I'm gonna go ahead and stuff and show you what the final product for the head looks like. Okay, so I went ahead and finished my head. When I said finished, I mean I stuffed it, I closed that hole, I left a really long tail for the keychain. And what I like to do now, although our head is the only part that's done on our bear, I do like to go ahead and attach the keychain just because it's a lot easier to do it when nothing else is attached, i.e. the ears and the muzzle and all that stuff. So what I'm going to do is look for that magic circle, which is at the top. I'm gonna shake my guy out, he looks a little weird. And I'm gonna take my keychain. I actually need to change my needle because these particular keychains that I bought, the links are really narrow for some reason. So let me go ahead and thread this really, really tiny, 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 tiny needle. Always gives me issue. And it bent on a project that I was doing once, and like it's even more narrow, so it's all bad, all bad. Let's see if we can get it here. There we go. Okay, and so what I want to do is just go through this last chain on my keychain, And I'm gonna go into the stitches surrounding that magic circle to secure it. What I mean by that is I'm gonna go into that stitch, pull up into the center of that magic circle, go through my chain again, if I can go through the chain, why are you being so difficult? There we go. Goodness gracious. And then I'm just going to go into the next stitch. So we started with that one. I'm going to go into this one. I'm doing the same thing. I mean, all the way around is probably what I'll do. You don't even necessarily need to do that. You just want to secure the yarn. But y'all know me. I just like to be extra precautious so that the keychain doesn't fall off, because the idea is that this guy is going to go onto the backpack, right? And so you don't want your kid or whoever, you know, you're gifting this to, you don't want it to fall off. And so I try to be as secure as possible when I'm doing keychains. Okay, so this is going to be the last one for me. Just going to go through. I went through the stitch and the link at the same time, and this thing is giving me all kinds of issues today, and my fingers are really like hurting, so I can't pull as hard. Okay, so that's what we're looking like so far. You can't even tell that we attached the keychain, but it's secure, like it's not going anywhere. So what I like to do now is just go back into that magic circle if we can. It gets a little tight in there. And again, forgive me, my fingers are like on fire right now. And I have like lotion on, so it's like really slippery. And I just like to make a little bit of a knot. And just a random stitch, so it's not going anywhere. At this point, honestly, you can just weave your ends and be done. But what I'm gonna do is leave this, and when I attach the ears, I'm gonna do another knot and then weave, so that it's just an extra layer of protection. So for our keychain, we have all of the stitches that we attached. We have the knot here. We're gonna make another knot that's attached to the ear, and then we can weave, and that way it's like secure. Okay, so let's go ahead and start our ears. For the ears, you are making two. I mean, unless you want a bear with one ear, which I don't know, maybe you do. We're gonna start with a magic circle, and we're going to do 6 single crochets. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Close that circle, put our stitch marker. Row number 2 is going to be an increase in every single stitch, so you're going to end up with 12. And I always say that in my videos because you need a really solid foundation to make sure your counts are correct. So just make sure you end up with 12 after this row. Okay, row number 3 is going to be 1 single crochet and then an increase, 1 single crochet and then an increase, and you're going to do this all the way around. Okay, the final row number 4 is going to be 1 single crochet in each stitch, and you should end up with 18 stitches. So go ahead and do that all the way around, and I will meet you back here. All right, at this point our ear is done, and if you crochet like me, it looks something like this. What we want to do is flip that inside out. We want to pinch the sides together, and we're going to add about 8 single crochets to close this guy up, because we want to be able to attach it to our bear. So I'm just going to take 1 stitch from each side and then do a single crochet. So for me, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. and we can go ahead and fasten off, leave a long tail so you can attach it to the body. All right, let's start on our muzzle. I would like to do that before we pin the ears. So for the muzzle, it's actually really simple. We're gonna start with our magic circle. We're gonna do our 6 single crochets on the inside. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Row number 2 is gonna be an increase. My yarn is tangling up on me here. Okay, an increase. So 1, 2 in the same stitch, and we're doing this all the way around, so you end up with 12 stitches. And the final row is row number 3, which is 1 single crochet and then an increase. I told you it was simple. Because our bear is so small, we don't really need a big muzzle. So go ahead and do that all the way around, and I'll meet you back here so we can add the nose. Okay, so this is what my muzzle is looking like. I'm just grabbing my black yarn here because we are going to start the actual nose. So let me go ahead and thread my yarn. I'm going to cut off a fairly decent amount. And I'm going to start by, I like to put this, like, fasten off the working yarn to the bottom. And that way I know this is the top of my muzzle. Okay, so we're going to start by inserting your yarn needle into the center of the magic circle, just like that. Next, what we want to do, let me just pull that through. Next, what we want to do is identify the 3 centermost stitches. So remember, I said the working yarn is going to go towards the bottom, so we know this is the top. We're going to look for the centermost 3 stitches between rows 1 and 2. So this is row 1, our magic circle. This is row number 2. Let me get a little closer. So row number 1, row number 2. The center 3 most stitches for me are going to be right here. So 1, 2, and 3. So next what we want to do is, once we've identified our 3, we want to insert our yarn needle into the rightmost. And that's Muffin dreaming. You can hear the squeak. Okay, so just like that. And then we're gonna wrap twice. So that means we're gonna go back through the center and go again into that rightmost stitch. And we're gonna do this for the remaining 2 stitches. So go through the center, go ahead and go in that second one, go through the center, go through that second one because we're wrapping twice, and then do finally our 3rd one. Just like that. Next, what we want to do is insert from the back, insert our yarn needle into that first stitch that we identified, or the 3rd one I should say, 1, 2, and 3. And we're going to go into the first one, and we're going to wrap a good 3 times, and that's going to help cover up some of the yarn that's peeking through that we made. So that was 1 for me, 2, and I'm just going to do a 3rd one just to be safe. Just like that. Okay, the next step in this is you want to identify the centermost stitch underneath that snout, because we want to make like that, you know, like in bears, how they have that little line that indicates the mouth. So for me, that's going to be right there. And so I'm actually going to go from the back because that's where my yarn is. And so I think I'm going to go a little bit further down, like right there. Just go ahead and pull up. And then go back through the magic circle in the center. And that's it. And then go ahead and tie these in the back and fasten off. Okay, so let's start the assembly, meaning that we are going to attach our pieces to our bear head. So we're going to start with the muzzle. What I like to do is just place the muzzle between the eyes. So row about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, between like rows 8 and 9 on row number 8, closer to row number 8 than anything. And I just like to put a pin right in the center there, and that way it just kind of keeps it in place. Next, what I want to do is just go ahead and use that working yarn from our muzzle, and we are going to sew this guy all the way around to attach that muzzle to the head. And I just kind of keep my thumb in the center here and just take my time sewing it around. Alright, to attach the ears, what I like to do is get my quilting pin, and I'm going to insert it on the end of my ear, like that. Next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with the right ear. I'm going to look at the right eye. I'm going to count 5 stitches from the right eye. I'm going to get closer so you can see what I'm doing. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm just going to insert right there. Next, I'm going to do the same thing. So insert the pin at the top, and I'm going to insert this between rows 1 and 2. So about right there. And it is going to be a little bit difficult, but we want the inner part of the ear to be a little bit behind the 2 points. So just like that, you see how like it's not parallel, it's actually going inward, and that's exactly what we want. And if it doesn't do that automatically, just go ahead and push it in a little bit, because that's the look that you're going for. So what we want to do now is just go ahead and thread our needle with the working yarn from our ear. We are going to start sewing this guy. So I'm going to put in that first stitch, and then pick up. Let me just make sure you can see that. Pick up, there we go, a second stitch in the ear, being very careful to follow that curve. So I just kind of readjust as I go to make sure I'm following the curve. And so now I'm gonna go into a stitch kind of further back to make sure that our finished look has that little bit of a curve. And you're just gonna do this all the way down. So I'm gonna come up right there, do the next stitch, go into the next one, and I'm gonna look and see where that last stitch I made was, which is for me right there. Gonna go into that next stitch, again being sure you're following that curve, pull it tight, and then repeat, go into that next stitch. Uh-oh, I'm so sorry. And when it gets to the top, if you notice that you're running out of stitches, you can kind of recycle that stitch. So just kind of go into that same hole. I don't like to do that all the way down because it kind of makes the ears bunch a little bit, but it's okay to do it, you know, a couple of times. I just wouldn't make it a practice like every stitch. Okay, so when we get to this point, you see how our ear is still not quite attached. What I like to do is I like to go into you can see it's like a little stitch right here, and I like to go through both of those and then go in through that bottom little loop. It's not really a stitch, it's more like a loop where we started those single crochets when we pinch the sides together. And if you've seen my other video, I forget which one it was, to be quite honest with you, but I like to, it was the frock. I remember now, it was the frock. I like to go in and secure that first part of the ear that we did, just because it looks okay right now, but it's not exactly the look that I'm going for. So what I'm going to do is the same thing we did up here, where we're going to pull up that last little stitch. Actually, we can just go in right here. Makes it a little bit easier, because like I said, my hands hurt really bad, so I'm not going to fight with it. Go into that same hole, and we're going to pull really, really tight. And it just makes it look a little bit cleaner, like you pull it down just a little bit. And I can actually go again and pull that again, just to make it even more clean. And this is, honestly, it's really optional, but it's just something that I like to do because I feel like it makes my work look a little bit better. And amigurumi a lot of times is all about the detail. So anything you can do to make your project look even a hair better, it's always worth it. And so you see what I mean? Like, you don't see that little gap anymore. And I dig it. So I'm gonna leave this, and you'll notice that I leave most of my ends until the very end, because what I like to do is, remember I said leave that long chain from the keychain, that long tail from the keychain, because what I'm gonna do is extra secure by tying another knot. And that not only secures the keychain, but it also secures the ear too. So do a couple of knots, and then we can go ahead and we can go ahead and weave these in. You can attach the second ear to this string right here to secure it in the same way. So let me go ahead and cut this, secure this by weaving it in, do the other ear, and I'll show you what the finished project looks like. All right, so here's what the finished product is looking like. And you guys, this one is going in the shop. Like, I am posting this one ASAP. It is absolutely amazing. It's so cute. Honestly, I've been meaning to do this for a really long time. I just haven't gotten around to it. I've been really busy on this side of things, but it's super cute. I love it. I love it. I love it. Okay, so at the end of my videos, I always like to give you some ideas, some alterations on how you can make this your own, or how you can put it, in your shop if you're a business owner yourself, or if you're a vendor and you do like vendor events and things like that. So one thing that I did, this is my second go around. As I was making the pattern, I kind of fumbled with the idea of making glasses, and it actually worked out pretty okay. He actually has a little like nerd tape in the center too. So each one of my girls have a different one. You can definitely add like flowers, crochet some flowers, add it as like maybe like a headband onto the bear. Change the color. The color change could be really, really cute. So play around with some colors also. Whatever you do, let me see. Tag me on other social media platforms at Zumamiko. I'm on Instagram, Facebook, Pinterest. Leave comments here as well. I always like to reply to those. Don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe, don't forget to hit that bell icon so you know when I post new materials. Every single Monday I post a new tutorial, and I'm getting into shorts as well, so make sure you check those out. Don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe. I say it over and over again because I really appreciate your support. There's a lot going on in the world right now. Everything is just so crazy. So please be safe out there, you guys. Crochet some really cool stuff. And don't forget to come back and meet me here next week for another tutorial. Bye for now.